Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. Today we're going to go ahead and react to this guy named Normal Nutrition Coach. I don't know that much about him as a person. He kind of alludes to being a nutritionist. I don't know if that's the case, but he kind of acts like it at least. So I want to go ahead and respond to this because I think that it might be interesting to see if I have arguments against what he says. And I also want to go ahead and try to provide you guys with counter arguments to these kinds of statements when you see them. I think a lot of times people do this to try to demotivate for some reason. I think there can be a misplaced empathy, quote unquote, if not sabotage, which I would love to do a video about fat sabotage at some point. But I think that a lot of times people just want to demotivate you for whatever reason. So let's go ahead and see how he's doing it. Okay.
6 reasons not to diet. Our brains notice when we're in a calorie deficit and increase the enzymes that store body fat.
That doesn't make any sense. If you're in a caloric deficit, why would your body release enzymes that store body fat if you're in a deficit? If you're in a deficit, then your body has to utilize and burn calories that are already on your body to make up for the difference of what you're not eating. That's the whole point of fat. Do you guys think it's interesting how fat activist types, they always believe in these weird like mythologies and folklores of fatness, like this supernatural ability for your body to store more fat while being in a deficit? Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I would love to see what he's talking about on a physiological level. I have never heard that ever. So, I mean, I could even steel man his argument and say, you might feel hungrier if you're in a deficit. That would be a steel man argument. What he said doesn't make any sense. No. But yes, your brain is aware when you're in a deficit. Yes.
Body fat. We decrease our metabolism, preventing us from
So we decrease our metabolism. Okay.
burning through as many calories as we ordinarily would, making it easier for us to overeat.
Okay, so that is also a myth. Metabolism primarily comes from vitamins and minerals. It comes from the amount of nutrition you're having. Your metabolism can be negatively affected, especially in the case of hypothyroidism, in terms of excessive seed oil consumption, or in my case, or what I would say, any seed oil consumption. I don't support it. Or in terms of high pollution, exogenous estrogens in the environment. These types of things can slow metabolism from an external sense as well. And so those things are factors for sure, but how does it typically manifest? You feel hungrier. It always goes back to hunger, every time. So when somebody says, I have a slow metabolism, what it really means is, I'm hungry. Okay? That's what it actually means. This whole like, oh, you're going to burn less calories, blah, blah, blah. Sure, if you actually lose the weight. So this is a complete gaslighting statement. If you are 500 pounds, it takes a lot more calories to actually run your body. So if you lose 200 pounds and you're now 300 pounds, then technically your metabolism has quote unquote decreased in that sense, but it's because you're not lugging around, pumping blood, doing all this stuff for a 500-pound body. So sure, but it doesn't make sense. Like typically if you eat 3,000 calories a day, your body will reach a certain equilibrium. Our bodies are always reaching equilibrium if we're consistent with what we do. So if you consistently eat 5,000 calories a day, then eventually you will gain weight and be at a level where you are 500 calories, or 5,000 calories, whatever your weight will be. For me, it was around 383 when I was eating around 5,000 calories a day. I currently eat around 2,300, and I currently weigh around 295. So it did go down quite a bit, but overall, my weight went down quite a bit too. And I don't need to be eating 5,000 calories a day, especially if I'm not hungry for it and if I don't have the appetite for it. You have to remember too, 2,300 is a deficit, not maintenance. Maintenance would be 3,300. So, I mean, it's pretty proportional to your actual weight. But I guess we're supposed to pretend that that's not real for some reason.
Metabolism preventing us from burning through as many calories as we ordinarily would, making it easier for us to overeat. Again, our brain notices when we're in a calorie deficit and bombards us with cravings to eat more.
Okay, so that's all he needed to say. That can be true. It's really important to prioritize nutrition. And I always will suggest not eating seed oils. They're added calories, if nothing else. They do not help you. They're not satisfying. You're not going to feel full if you eat that type of stuff. You're not. If you have fried foods, chips, these kind of things, over time you'll feel hungrier. So I would suggest not doing that, especially from a super morbidly obese perspective. I'm not the only person in the world that would suggest not eating chips if you're trying to lose weight. I think anybody who would be like, eat all of them that you want is dumb, honestly, because it absolutely would sabotage your weight loss because it will make you hungrier. Certain foods are more satisfying than others. So it's really important to prioritize satiety in terms of caloric deficits. So have plenty of saturated fat, have plenty of protein, have plenty of carbs, especially simpler carbs like fruits, honey, that kind of stuff. Less starches. Starches will make you hungrier. They have more of an insulinogenic effect on you. So have less starch, more fruit. Even fruit juices is better than starch for weight loss. Now, if you're trying to build muscle, I would say it's probably the opposite, and starch would be better. So it depends on what your goals are. But on this channel, we're usually coming at this from a super morbidly obese perspective. The starch is not going to help you that much. Lessen it. Okay? All right, let's continue.
No amount of willpower can shake that. Dieting increases the risk of heart disease due to weight cycling. When we diet, we ignore our appetite cues, making it easier for us to eat beyond our natural fullness. When we lose...
Okay, did he just combine two? Sorry, I just sneezed. Dieting increases the risk of heart disease due to weight cycling. Okay, so this I think would depend on what kind of diet you're doing. So if you're currently in an ED and you're doing binge/restrict cycles, that's what this is referring to. So in terms of these influencers, they never actually differentiate between having a normal dieting experience and having B and R cycles, which are very unhealthy. So if you're doing that, then that definitely will. If your diets are way too restrictive, if you're missing out on vital nutrients over long periods of time, this may also cause this. And if you're having a diet that's making you very, very hypothyroid through, having tons of estrogen in your foods, if you're like being alcorexic and just drinking a bunch of alcohol, I've seen people that are keto and they drink all the time. Like that kind of lifestyle will definitely induce hypo in a person. If you're smoking weed every day, these kind of things will also increase heart disease. This is very kind of obvious, but for some reason, if you say that it has anything to do with hypothyroidism, then people get upset. But yeah, that's how. So you gotta actually eat healthier or have nutrients. And again, I would consider glucose a nutrient as well. So I'm not anti-carb whatsoever, but you always have to have a balanced diet, get enough potassium, vitamin C, enough protein, enough calcium, enough vitamins and minerals of all kinds. You need to be totally on point. Otherwise, you're going to be hungrier. And if you go without something for a long time, then you can have heart disease issues. So that's what that's referring to. But again, he doesn't differentiate what is the difference or what actually causes it. It's just dieting. Weight loss in a super morbidly obese person can actually reduce the risk. Duh. Okay, let's continue.
Weight cycling. When we diet, we ignore our appetite cues, making it easier for us to eat beyond our natural fullness. When we lose...
That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Typically, when you cut down on calories, your stomach shrinks a bit. So it's actually harder to overeat. That's over the long term, but in terms of my experience, because I focused on hypothyroidism so much, I'm not hungrier. There are certain times of the year that I'm hungrier. There are certain factors, like when I started going to the gym again, I got hungrier. But after a month of the gym, I felt better and I'm fine now. We're getting deeper into spring. Seasonal factors are on my side. I'm not as hungry and I'm still going to the gym and I'm fine. So, I do think that hunger cues are important, but you also need to look at, your deficit, your goals, everything that's going on around it and what's happening. Also, if you ate an unbalanced diet that day, you might be hungrier. So it'd be up to you if you want to eat more that day, slow things down, or if you just want to blast through it. It really depends. Everybody has to make decisions on a day-by-day basis. I'm not going to judge you. It is what it is. It's always about the long game. If you're getting there in the end, that's all that matters. It's not about being perfect every single day. That's it.
Eat beyond our natural fullness. When we lose weight and regain it, the fat is usually regained in the abdominal area, which, because it's surrounding your...
Okay, so I don't know about this. I think it probably depends on what kinds of foods that you're eating, but also too, it depends on your hormonal profile. So I would like to see what he's saying in regards to this study, because most people that gain weight, they typically, especially men, gain weight initially around the stomach area. So I feel like this is complete BS. It goes against my experience when I was initially gaining weight. It goes against a lot of people's experience. I would actually say the exact opposite, because it tends to be that your abdominal area is the primary storage of fat. So it will be typically the first place that you gain the weight, especially as a man, and typically the last place that you lose it, especially as a man, because it is one of those primary fat storage places. It can be different for women. I can't think of it completely, but obviously it's like butt and thighs, and that area is more woman oriented. So typically women will gain there primarily, but it's like still abdominal fat or visceral fat is actually worse because it's more hormonally active, and that can lead to more complications for men in obesity than for women based on visceral fat distribution. So that can be an issue for sure. I don't think it's good to gain and regain and lose and regain 50 billion times, but once again, it depends on what's causing it. Is it a natural fluctuation of the seasons, like in my case this past year, or is it ED behavior? One of those is very different than the other. So you have to think about what you're actually doing. And the biggest thing is to do a diet that's sustainable, because you don't want to be going on it, getting off, going on it, getting off, going on it, getting off. You don't want to do that. It's okay to go from a deficit to maintenance. If you need to fluctuate that, that's not going to do any harm. But if you're like I did, where it's like, I'm going to go keto, then I'm going to binge, then I'm going to go keto, then I'm going to binge, then I'm going to go keto, then I'm going to binge. That's very unhealthy. That is horrible for you. So it really depends. And again, I would consider that in my case to be ED behavior, which is very unhealthy. So you need to make sure that you're not just going into a BED spell when you're going on a diet. Do something realistic, sustainable, slow. Slow. Say it with me. Slow. SLOW. Slow weight loss. Sustained weight loss. Not rapid, not fast, not that. That's ED. If you have to have it as fast as possible, you're not thinking logically. And you can imagine me being in the bathroom mirror and judging you like this because you're having an ED episode. If you do that, that's not okay. So, no. Gentle, loving, kind weight loss. Slow weight loss. Because I remember the mindset. It was like, I want to do whatever I can to get this off as fast as possible. Dumb. Put the dunce cap on immediately when that thought crosses your mind. It is stupid and is dangerous. It's not good. You're not entering into a diet under a good circumstance if that's how you're viewing it. If it's, I don't care about my health, I just care about how I look. No. Dunce cap. Look of judgment in the mirror. Judging you. No. Terrible mindset. Terrible. So you need to always diet from a rational, strategic, calm place. Make it as rational and logical and calculated as possible. That is how you do it, okay?
Is usually regained in the abdominal area, which, because it's surrounding your internal organs, puts you at greater risk of heart disease, diabetes, and liver problems. You should be able to pursue health without having to believe that your weight is a condition of it.
Okay, well, that's not true. So the obesity in and of itself, it does affect you. I've covered it many times. It primarily raises estrogen, which puts your body in a more hypothyroid state. And it also raises cortisol and all this stuff. It does a lot of things. There's a lot of hormonal cascades from having super high estrogen due to obesity. So no, you have to lose the weight. You have to. And we don't even understand completely the connection between obesity and serotonin. But all we do know is it's not good. It's a pathology. It does affect that hormone as well. So don't. Just don't. Don't be fat. Okay? Okay, so we're going to do a couple more. I think this one. Yeah, okay.
The top 3 things this nutritionist says you should completely eliminate from your diet: calling certain foods naughty, letting up.
Okay, so this is very stupid because this is a very, very general statement for something very individual. Okay, so your diet and what you eat as a diet is super individual. What do I mean by that? For example, what if you're allergic to something? Then you would be describing that food as naughty. So this does not work at all. Also, if your health is worse because you're bigger, in my opinion, when it comes to certain things, you need to be stricter. So especially as a super morbidly obese person, you need to try your hardest to avoid all seed oil consumption, all. Because you already are in such a state where most of the fat profile on your body is polyunsaturated fatty acids, which are primarily in the seed oils. That is where people get so much of it. It puts you in a more hypothyroid state. You're already in that state. You already have high estrogen. You don't need to do anything else to make you more hypo. You likely already are. So don't. So that I will say, that's naughty. Now, if you're thin, I'm not talking to you if you go to a restaurant every once in a while, but I will tell you, be careful. If you're eating tons and tons of those oils, you will face health effects. It will happen. You can experiment with it if you don't believe me. Eat as much as you can and see how you feel. But I will say, for the super morbidly obese peeps, be very careful with those foods. Avoid it completely if you can. as much as possible. If you have some, it's not all or nothing. It isn't like that. It's all about ratios over a long period of time. So don't think that time without it doesn't matter. It absolutely does. Every moment that you're reducing that, it helps you. So even if you're not perfect, it doesn't matter. This isn't, what I advocate for is not like keto, where if you mess up, you ruin it. It's not like that. So I'm just saying. So I would say no. No all around. Also, if you have a fatty liver, you really shouldn't be drinking. I don't drink because I have a fatty liver. I mean, there's a lot of health foods that we have to consider. The less healthy we are, the more limitations we're going to have. This is a very dumb statement. Okay.
Others comment on your food choices and placing
Allowing food policing. So I don't know what this is. I mean, I would never do that to somebody literally in public. I don't typically do that to people in my life. I will occasionally with my mom, but she's my mom, you know? But in terms of like educating somebody about certain things, like sugars over starch for a very fat person, don't have as many like slices of bread, have more fruit or juice rather than bread. That's something that I will suggest, or not having seed oils, having a balanced diet of protein, meat and dairy and this kind of stuff, especially if you're not allergic to anything, have that kind of stuff. But in terms of like, am I going to police your food? No, I don't have the time and energy to police what you eat. I also think that you don't have the time or energy to do that either, because you have to focus on what you're doing, and that's what I do. But anyways, dishonoring your hunger. This one I can understand. I think it's a line, it's a balance, right? So you have to think of hunger like a sliding scale. If it's a 1 or a 2, it's not that important. If it gets to be over a 5, you probably should eat. So there were times when I was adjusting to going back to the gym where I was very, very hungry and I had to eat a little something to be okay. But it went away, So it depends. It's a gradient. That's my honest opinion. Okay, so we're going to do one more. Oh gosh, this one. Okay.
You actually want to prioritize your health for once and live longer. Like this video, follow me.
weight loss to feel better about your.
I have to say, isn't this crazy? This is like 5 pounds. Isn't that crazy? I'm really close to being at 100. Well, I'm not that close, but like my next weight loss video will be 100. And I want to show pictures of like 100 pounds of fat, because that's crazy. Look at that. That's 5. I believe that's like 5 pounds. I don't know. Maybe it's a little more. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But if you guys know how much that is, let me know, because I'm interested. I might be wrong, but I don't know. Is that like 20 pounds? That can't be. I don't know. Whatever. I'm going to stop trying to figure it out. But anyways, that's crazy that I'm almost at 100. Oh, man. Gosh, it has been a journey.
Prioritize your health for once and live longer. Like this video, follow me.
Weight loss to feel better about yourself. Groundbreaking.
I don't really care about feeling better about myself. I know that's like really controversial, but I don't care. I'm not body positive. I'm body neutral. So I think what's more important is just, I don't know, like even not thinking about yourself so much. I know that that's like a really like, whoa type of thing, but I find that that's helped me in terms of like, I used to be like really, really, really obsessed with thinking about my body, myself, everything, and I don't care anymore. And I think that that's just a healthier mindset. Like you can still think about yourself and think about your identity and stuff, but it's like, I don't know. It's helped me so much to not always think about it. And that might not apply to everybody. I'm sure there's people who don't think about themselves enough, but you got to see where you're at there. And as somebody that had that severe BED, I always was thinking about myself, and I think it's too much. Like, it can be, there's a difference between being self-aware and self-obsessed, okay? And I'm just saying, it's not good, okay?
Obsessing over weight loss is not prioritizing our health for once. Besides,
So I don't know about this. It really depends on the circumstances, because sometimes when you're first starting, you do kind of get obsessed with it just because it's new. It's a new thing that you're doing. I'm a very obsessive person in general. So for me, being obsessed with something is not that big of a deal. Whether I'm obsessed with YouTube, I'm obsessed with Taylor Swift, I'm obsessed with a guy that I love, I'm obsessed with whatever. It's like I'm obsessed all the time. So I don't know. To me, it's like, of course I was going to be obsessed with weight loss because I'm obsessed with everything that I'm obsessed with. So I think it just depends on the person, I guess. But if it's like, you can't be in a situation where the number on the scale is like the be all end all of your whole life and self-esteem. If you're feeling that way, that's ED. It's not logical, and you need to like cut through the BS in your mind and be like, okay, this isn't logical. This is dumb. This is stupid. And always get back to that logical center within a weight loss journey. It is going to be emotional. It absolutely will be, especially if you're an emotional person. Now, if you're not emotional, then ignore what I just said. But if you are an emotional person that has experienced BED or something like that, it will be an emotional experience. But come back to center. Come back always to logic and calculation, and keep it on the ground. Keep it within your body. Like, always keep it realistic, calm, calculated. So if you're like, oh, the number on the scale, oh my gosh, in those moments, you can choose to either feed into it, or you can choose to walk away from it or think away from it. You want to think away from it and come back to a calm center. Okay, I saw the scale. It's up. Okay, whatever. Over time, as you continue a deficit, you will see that your weight goes up and down, and it's not a big deal. And through all the gaslighting of fat acceptance, a lot of us lose trust in our body's abilities to lose weight, or our body's ability to lose weight. And you just need to experience it going up and coming back down and going up and coming back down. And then it keeps going down lower and lower pretty much each time. And then you have trust. Like right now, I've lost 90 pounds of fat. I have a lot of trust, so I don't think about it anymore. So I think that that's really important. And then don't focus so much on body image, because it really doesn't matter. Like, your health matters a lot more. So just don't think about your body all the time. It really helped me to not sit and stare in the mirror and obsess over it. And of course, there were my moments. We all have our moments. But don't do it all the time, and minimize it as much as you can. Always remember, when I talk on this channel, I'm speaking in shades of gray. I'm not talking in black and white. Nobody's going to do everything perfectly all the time. It's just not a fact. It's just not the way it is. So just chill. Okay? I feel like I have to like pile through, or like jump through 7,000 hoops that fat acceptance and stupid diet culture has put in my way. But I'm not talking in black and whites when I talk on this channel. There is no black and white in weight loss. It doesn't exist. It's not real. So everything is shades of gray, okay? Everything is always shades of gray in weight loss. That's why this issue keeps getting worse, because people are losing the ability to think in shades of gray. It's driving me nuts. Okay.
the fact that being on a diet is the #1 predictor of future weight gain, dieting can.
It depends on if you're having an ED episode, then yes. BED is real. BED has a time where you don't eat as much. I don't want to say the words, but you get what I'm saying. So yes, if you have that going on, that's a problem. okay?
Contributes to body dissatisfaction, being preoccupied with food and body image.
I think that people who are fat are dissatisfied with their body regardless, typically, in one way or the other. It's just kind of a way of life, honestly, for a lot of fat people. I don't even know if it's that different for thin people. I just think, honestly, we need to just be body neutral. Honestly, I think it's the way forward.
Food cravings, being distracted from other personal health goals, reduced
If you're super
self-esteem.
distracted by food cravings, you're probably eating something that's too restrictive. Now, I often advocate against seed oil consumption, as you guys have seen many times, but I do advocate for making your own stuff. Make your own cake, make your own cookie if you want it, make your own bread. My mom just made banana bread today. We use like cassava flour and stuff because me and my mom both have fatty liver and we just want to keep the estrogen load down and all that stuff. So it depends on how strict you want to be. I haven't talked as much about my diet, but I can, I probably will at some point, but I try not to talk too much about it because I want to make sure that I'm like further down in weight. You get what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, I would always advocate to just make it yourself. Make it yourself. And you don't have to be deprived. Especially you make it yourself, you count the calories, you're good. If you want fried chicken, make it in a different kind of oil. Or like something different. I haven't had that, but I've had plenty of cakes, plenty of cassava flour cakes throughout my weight loss journey. I've had plenty of like cookies and stuff too throughout the time. Me and my mom would make this caramel sauce that it's just butter and sugar basically, and have it on Granny Smith apples. It's like you can do things like that and still lose weight. You just have to count your calories. It's gonna be okay, I promise. So if you're really, really dying for something and you're super morbidly obese and have fatty liver and hypothyroidism and all these issues, just make it yourself. Make it yourself. Use cassava flour, that kind of stuff. So there are ways to do things. If you're not as bad, like if your liver's fine, then just use the wheat. Just make bread if you want it. And just make sure there's no seed oil in it. It's like, it's shades of gray. I'm telling you. That's why you can't like tell somebody how to eat. That's why I can't tell you how to eat. I don't know where your health level is. I don't know what you're going through. I don't know what your goals are. You gotta be self-directed. That's the thing that we don't understand in terms of dieting. It's very frustrating. It really is.
Further weight stigma and further weight discrimination. You can prioritize your health without having to lose weight.
Okay, I don't know. That's something, quite frankly, that's very thin privilege to say. And I don't usually say something like that. But if you're super morbidly obese, you can't prioritize your health without thinking about your weight. There's just no way. So anyways, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know if you guys have any questions about what I talk about in terms of diet. I really struggle with messaging over it, honestly, because it really is shades of gray. And because we're so conditioned to think about things in a black and white way, it's very frustrating for me because I feel like I'm always having to like disclaim things like 500 times, but I guess that is a part of the activism. That's a part of what needs to change. But let me know if you guys have questions. I'll try to at least answer them in the comments on this video, just because I need to think of ways to talk about it, because people always assume that I'm like speaking black and white, and I never am. I never am. So I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good rest of your day, night, whatever. And I'll see you soon. Bye. Bye.